How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right. How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. We are back for another show, and today we will be talking about Romeo Lavia, the Southampton midfielder, and where he could possibly end up. We're also going to be talking about James Ward-Prowse and his proposed move to West Ham. And a last piece of news we're going to be speaking about is Gabriel Jesus and some worrying news that came out in the press earlier this morning. And yeah, that better not be what I think it is. But listen, to start with, we're going to be speaking about Romeo Lavia. There was talk a few weeks ago about Arsenal being in for him. But the team that looks like they're really interested and they're putting in concrete bids are Liverpool. Southampton, listen, they're negotiating with Liverpool, has a long running history. The amount of players that have gone from there to Liverpool. So you kind of look and think that maybe they've got a good relationship. But then on the flip side, maybe Southampton have got fed up with Liverpool taking all their best players. And they're like, nah, we're going to dig our heels in and demand what we want. But yeah, they're kind of looking at it, and it always happens within the transfers where you lowball first, and it's like buying a car, for example. You know, you see a car advertised and it's for sale for £10,000, you know, for example. You never go straight in there and say, here you go, mate, here's 10 grand, you know, job done. You always go in there and you're like, you know what, I'll give you 8.5. And they could be like 9.5. And you're like, all right, meet in the middle, 9. And, you know, it's part and parcel of it. Obviously, these deals are of a bigger figure, shall we say. But Liverpool are meant to be offering below £40 million. And Southampton are holding out for £50 million. And listen, at the end of the day, you know, the club that, you know, has the player has every right to hold out for the fee that they feel is, you know, the value of the player. And Southampton, I know they've been relegated, but they're not really one of these clubs that need to sell and generate a huge amount of money. Now, I can't imagine that he's on massive wages at Southampton. Only signed a year ago from Man City. And I think one thing that is very interesting is that Man City have some kind of clause within this contract when they sold him. I think it's after 18 months, something like that, that, you know, they get the first option to buy back, etc. So clubs are looking and saying we need to get in now, whilst Man City are not able to activate, you know, this, you know, clause that was added to the sale, because once we get to that 18 months, and I think that Man City, you know, put that in there with the intention that he was going to be, you know, starting in the Premier League. It's his, you know, first season. Probably take him a little while, and probably didn't expect him to hit the ground running and end up performing as well as he did. And yeah, it's one of those ones. Are other clubs sitting back and watching Liverpool, waiting for the moment that a bid is accepted and then they can make their move? There's Chelsea. Again, Arsenal are still there. Are we simply sitting there and saying, you know what, let Liverpool do all the dirty work, go and get a fee and, you know, figure sorted out for him, and then once that's agreed, we know where we have to go to? It's an interesting one. He's a quality player, young player. He's still got a high ceiling, got a lot to learn. It's a lot of money. But what you will get is a player for the future as well, and longevity, the years to come and everything. So we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Another Southampton player, somebody that you will all know about, James Ward-Prowse, free kick specialist, unbelievable. But West Ham apparently not giving up on their pursuit of James Ward-Prowse. And again, Southampton digging their heels in. They're saying, listen, if you want our player, you've got to pay the money, and we're not going to be mugged off by anybody. You know, Southampton rejected an initial bid of £30 million. And reports were suggesting that West Ham have walked away. Southampton's valuation is more closer to £40 million. And apparently they're not going to compromise on the price. And I think this is pretty much like a game of poker now, where, who blinks first, who calls, whose bluff. I don't think West Ham are in a position where they can afford to walk away. Right now, I think West Ham are in a mess. It's all well and good celebrating your free payment instalments for Declan Rice and thinking you got one over Arsenal, but you never did at the end of the day. And what you lot were doing, whilst you was, faffing around over these little bits and pieces with Declan Rice, which you wasn't actually concentrating on what's in front of you and getting your targets in. Some of the targets that they've been looking at have gone to other clubs. Clubs have came in last minute, poached players that looked like they were going to go to West Ham. I think West Ham are in a lot of trouble this season. I really do. And even if James Ward-Prowse goes there, they're still in a lot of trouble. He couldn't even help Southampton last season. How long will David Moyes actually last? There's only so long that you can, look at the trophy win and say, okay, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think that West Ham are going to have to stump up the money, and I think that Southampton will get what they want. But again, it's a very, very interesting one. And something, very briefly that's just come up in the last 10 minutes or so is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is in talks with Besiktas. Of course, former Arsenal player, former Liverpool player. But apparently he's met the president of Besiktas at a hotel in London. And listen, it'd be a good move for him, I think. Get away, new country, new environment, new league and everything else. And hopefully he can have an injury-free time and actually enjoy his football. Because he's just constantly had, nothing but injuries at Arsenal, Liverpool, etc. So very, very interesting. Now, speaking of injuries, the last piece of news, Gabriel Jesus. There were some reports earlier this morning suggesting that Gabriel Jesus is injured and he's picked up another knee injury. And of course, Arsenal are playing tonight, Emirates Cup against Monaco. And apparently he is missing from that. And I'm going to make this very clear. There's been no concrete reports in terms of, a David Ornstein, for example, or Fabrizio Romano, etc. These are a lot of rumours at the moment. And they're quite mixed. There's a lot of rumours suggesting it's a knee injury similar to the one he picked up in the World Cup that kept him out for 4 months or so. And then on the other hand, there's some that are saying it's just a very minor knock. He's just not in the squad for tonight's game and he should be back for the Community Shield against Man City on Sunday. I think the only way you're going to get validity on this is through Mikel Arteta in interviews tonight and what actually happens. But what I will say is that if it is a serious injury and he's going to be out for 3-4 months, then I think Arsenal need to go into the transfer market and get a striker. Because I certainly cannot put up with Eddie Nketiah as the main striker for the next 3-4 months. That just cannot happen. And I'm not being disrespectful to Eddie, but we need a level above. Balogun looks like his time is done. You look at pre-season and, he's hardly being used. He's apparently training on his own and everything else. I don't know what's going on there, but something's obviously not right. So I don't think he's going to be used and he's not going to be the answer. I think Arsenal will have to go into the transfer market if it is a serious injury. But like I said, I don't know if it is. None of us know. And I think we'll know more tonight when Mikel Arteta gives his, interviews for the game against Monaco. But fingers crossed, it's only minor and he will be in the squad and ready to play against Man City on Sunday. So, listen, there we go. That is it for another DT's Daily. Let me know in the comments section what you think about today's topics. James Ward-Prowse, do you think he will end up at West Ham? Romeo Lavia, Will he end up at Liverpool or could it be somewhere else? And of course, Gabriel Jesus. Let me know. If you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.